Welcome to our Community Partners interview, where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make changes in our daily lives. I'm your host, Prateek Mohanty, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Lacey Lynes, who is the Program Director and Occupational Therapist for Movement Center of Manitoba, Inc. Movement Center of Manitoba is a registered charitable organization specializes in providing conductive education to help individuals with neuromotor conditions increase their mobility, confidence, and independence in activities of daily living. Their vision is to enable affordable access to conductive education programming for all Manitobans. Thank you for joining us today, Lacey.
Hi, Prateek. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit more about you and what inspired you to work for the Movement Center of Manitoba. Why work with individuals with disabilities?
Yeah, thank you. So I started working with people with disabilities, I guess, through my undergraduate degree. I started off working at an assisted living facility where I really was drawn to that line of work. I've been at the Movement Center now for 13 years. I'm an occupational therapist now, but when I started here, I was an assistant in our program. And I found my way to the Movement Center through a recommendation from a friend after my work in the nursing home, where I really enjoyed connecting with people. And I really grew to love the area of self-care and just thinking of how it can be vulnerable for some people and just needing to really support people through those moments in their lives. And so I was very thankful to be referred to the Movement Center. And what I thought would be short-term initially ended up, I stayed for 4 years as an assistant before finally pursuing my occupational therapy degree. And then when I graduated in 2019, I was fortunate to be able to return here as our first ever occupational therapist. So growing our program beyond just conductive education. And then about a year and a half ago, I transitioned into my role here as program director. So again, very grateful and excited to be able to bring new depth to our program, help more people. And really, it was an easy decision for me. I remember my interview day and my first weeks at the Movement Center, where I just fell in love with the culture and the spirit of inclusion and the really motivating dynamics between all the staff and clients. And I'll tell you more about our programming, but the way we operate as a group and really empower each individual to bring their personality and their own work ethic to the group and to the programming, and the way we motivate our clients to be themselves and work together as a team is just it's really fun and it's really rewarding, and I'd never go back.
That's great. So tell me a little bit more. What is conductive education?
Conductive education is a form of movement-based therapy. Not many people really know what it is. We're the only conductive education center in Manitoba and one of very few in Canada. Conductive education is a unique, intensive method of special education emphasizing active learning and participation to overcome movement challenges, most often for people with neuromotor disabilities. Conductive education requires that the learner takes an active part in their learning, and so kind of a willingness to learn, and it incorporates a cognitive piece where individuals learn to integrate movements through a repetitive set of task series. So conductive education believes in neuroplasticity. So all of our participants can learn or relearn to move better through lived experiences and many opportunities to practice moving. So conductive education has several philosophies to its delivery, one of which is rhythmical, intention, and the task series. So all of our participants will move through a series of movements in lying, sitting, and then most frequently also in standing. The conductor will kind of conduct the group. So we will repeat the task from the perspective of the learner. For example, I stretch my right arm forward, and the whole group will repeat the task together and count from a cadence of 1 to 5 to help learners internalize and visualize that movement from their perspective. And we'll modify for each individual person if they need extra assistance or facilitation to execute the movement. And then we translate those movements into functional life skills. So our programming looks like a set of exercises until we all get up and move and translate those skills into life skills in a really fun and motivating way, whether it's group activities, games and life skills, and functionally preparing food, using the toilet. All aspects of daily living are integrated into our program. And another key piece of conductive education is that it all takes part in the group. So individuals work together alongside groups of peers with similar movement challenges or similar communication goals, social interests, sometimes the same disability or diagnosis, but not always. And so individuals work in the group, which is really motivating socially and also creates meaningful peer interactions where we encourage one another and really learn from each other's experiences. So if one group member is having a hard time with a movement, it might be far more motivating to learn from the experience of another peer as opposed to from a staff or a therapist.
Perfect. So thank you. While doing my research, I saw that you have a couple of programs that you offer. Can you tell us a little bit more about these programs?
Yes. So the way that we deliver our programming is broken up into programs. So we will serve individuals from as young as about a year old or even a little younger up to the age of 80 or older. So we break up our programs generally by age group to start. So maybe some of our youngest kids, or even if we do work with individuals on an individual basis as opposed to a group, we'd call those parent and child classes or with a parent and caregiver. So we can really maximize on the learning potential and ensure that caregivers can learn what we're doing and take those skills home with them. And especially when kids are young, having the parents there is very motivating. And that's also great too with groups of kids and their parents joining in the class together. That creates a network of support right off the bat. So the parents can support each other through this journey. And then we move into our early years classes. As kids get older and the parents fade away, there will be a lot of age-appropriate motivation with songs and games and play-based skills, just those early developmental milestones, maybe learning to crawl or sit independently, pull up to stand, and all the really play-based things and learning to feed oneself. And then we also we grow up with the clients. So many of our clients don't graduate from our program and they continue to grow with us. And so then we have our elementary school classes and even the junior years where the program is quite similar, but the motivations will change based on the age of the clients and what's going on for them in their life and what's motivating to them. And then into teenagehood, our program might shift slightly where we focus a lot more on independent self-directing of care and kind of balancing those roles between wanting to be independent in life, transitioning to maybe job skills or more meaningful roles in the community. And we also serve individuals with acquired injuries such as stroke or Parkinson's or MS. So then you'll see a bit of a shift in our adult programming where individuals are still in their groups and really tailored to their current challenges in everyday life to regain skills that they may have had before for either returning to work or continuing meaningful roles in the home. And yeah, that's a little bit about how we organize our programs.
Fantastic. So while everyone has their own journey through life, and we are all individuals, what would a common journey through Movement Center of Manitoba look like for one of the members?
Yeah, that's a great question. So depending, when they start, that's where they start, depending on what their goals are at the time. We are a primarily physical rehabilitation program. So what brings people to us initially is usually a movement goal. A lot of our families come to us with goals of learning to ambulate independently, to stand or to walk, but that isn't the be-all end-all goal by any means. But movement is an initial goal, as well as how that translates to participation in life. So clients, like I said, don't tend to graduate from us because we are such a holistic programming, and we support people in all aspects of their life, physically, socially, emotionally. And once you develop meaningful friendships and relationships here, we can just grow from there. There's really no limit to how we can help people with our multidisciplinary team of conductors and myself as an occupational therapist to help people just get the most out of their life and participate to the fullest. There's a lot of communication aspects built in. And so a client's goals can shift from term to term or across the years, where we maintain skills, but something comes up in life where they have a goal or a dream to do something more independently for themselves, or we notice a new potential and we really go with it. For example, we had some clients want to develop more skills at communicating with an iPad, and they weren't able to access that device because of a lack of movement ability. So kind of switched our focus to learning new movements and highlighting how to best use their bodies to access the iPad. And then from there, we had a world of opportunities to communicate and make their own plans and bring people together around our community, and even try to take their relationships and skills outside of the center. And we do a large part of transitional care planning, where we'll help support clients through their schools and their day programs and their job searches to make sure that all the work and skills they gained here can be translated to their everyday life.
That's great. So are there any restrictions to the services at the Movement Center of Manitoba, such as age, caregivers or family members only, things of that nature?
So that is a great question as well. There are not many restrictions. One thing that we do require is that before we will intake a client into programming, they need to have medical clearance from their physician or perhaps a physiotherapist if they've been working with closely in the community. We want to make sure that there are no medical reasons that a client could not participate in intensive therapy. Often with our clients who live with cerebral palsy or other neuromotor conditions, a hip displacement or contracture could prevent them from moving safely. So we want to work collaboratively as a team to make sure there are no medical precautions we need to take. But otherwise, we really have never turned anyone away from programming. Not a restriction, but the problem is that we're at capacity to some extent right now. So we do have a wait list, but once you comes your turn to the top of the wait list, or if we can find an opening for someone, there's very few restrictions. We will work always within a client or a person's full potential and find creative and person-centered ways to work with the family to give them some supports. People come to us because their needs are often not being met within the traditional system as far as therapies and what's available, especially at without paying a private practice rate. So we find a way to help a lot of people in really creative ways that fits within our group programming. And I think that's where my role as an occupational therapist becomes especially valuable, is that even if clients are not really cognitively or effectively ready to be active participants in their care in kind of the traditional conductive education model, using very supportive sensory and self-regulation strategies and client-centered communication, we can really help clients become ready to be participants in a more intensive movement programming. Or we also modify our programs altogether. So some of our clients' programs across that trajectory we talked about become a lot more social, and we have groups that focus just on communication or on a specific skill such as baking, or we even have a video game club. So again, not too many restrictions, and we have been growing a lot these last years to meet the needs of many people within the center and the opportunities that we have. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Well, without using any names, can you share a success story with me? What supports were put into place when somebody asked for help?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's our favorite question. Things to talk about here. The staff will debrief a long time after class. There are so many positives to celebrate together. A lot of good ones to choose from. And like I said, we're primarily a movement learning program. So of course, it goes without saying when many parents come to us with the goal of hoping their child will walk or move independently, getting to be there and participate with a client and to help them take their first steps for the first time is really a joyful and special experience. When we, after having practiced those movements, broken down into steps, learning to put your foot flat and position your weight over your hips and knees to stand up for the first time. And when we help clients walking at their hips and we take their hands away, we were just preparing a client testimonial for upcoming fundraiser, and the family we are spotlighting there, they still remembered 10 years ago when I was an assistant and their child took their first steps ever here at the center. And so those are some major success stories for sure. And a client recently too, who's really actively just so motivated to learn to walk himself. We count his steps. He was taking 10 or 20 steps at a time. And he said, "Lacey, keep counting. I feel like I can do it." And we were just so in sync and connected together. And we counted all the way to 100 steps this last term. And it was really special. But beyond that, there are so many successes of clients learning to do up their own zipper or feed themselves. We had our group of older gentlemen in one of our stroke recovery classes who all came together on their goal of wanting to be able to cut meat and enjoy a good steak at the summer barbecue. And we spent weeks practicing that in different ways and trying out different adaptive tools. And they were all able to achieve that goal at the same time together, which really then is important to translate that to home, that their family members know how to set them up appropriately and that they know how to advocate for what they need in order to be successful in everyday life. And I think last I'll share, beyond the physical, a huge success for myself and my trajectory at the Movement Center and growth in our programs is the kind of the social learning aspect. I'm very much partial to the group environment, to be able to be a therapist and occupational therapist and work with groups of people in a social setting where, of course, the movement is what connects us. We have groups of peers here who are also different and they communicate differently. And the school setting and other settings just really move so fast. But for us to be able to slow down and take the time for each individual to play a part in the group and to appreciate that their influence on another group member really matters and that we're all connected to each other and waiting for each other and everybody has an influence on one another in a real way of, friends who get together and they make plans. And how do you decide with your friends what movie you're going to go see? We take for granted all the thinking and processing and turn taking that happens there. So we've really seen a lot of successes in our clients' ability to communicate socially and meaningfully, and even just to self-regulate, to be able to be calm and engaged and take the perspective of another person and to be a meaningful group member. Our families have countless testimonials of how those skills we practice here translate to their everyday life, and they see those noticeable differences in their children and their family members at family gatherings that might have been overwhelming before they had that opportunity to practice here.
That's great. Are there any events coming up for Movement Center of Manitoba?
Yes, so the Movement Center of Manitoba does not receive any government funding. We rely on the unwavering support of our board of directors and staff and clients, and especially family members and community donors and sponsors to help us fundraise. So fundraising is really the cornerstone of our mission, and it allows us to continue to provide the services that we do and that we've been operating for almost 30 years as a not-for-profit is really astounding. We aim to fundraise about $1 million every year to be able to continue to provide our programs. So the fundraising events that we do have coming up, one of our largest fundraisers is the Pierogi Run. It's presented by our lead sponsor, Boston Pizza. So we serve pierogi pizza, and Savala's pierogi is donated to us. So we have clients and families and community members come out to Kildonan Park here in Winnipeg on Sunday, June 14th. It's our 8th annual. We've brought together about 450 community members the last years, and our event continues to grow. It's a really, really fun, all abilities, walk, wheel, and run around the park. And we aim to raise $150,000 at this event. So if anyone is interested in coming out to join us, all are welcome. You can go to the events section on our website and register a team or make a donation. There's face paint and bouncy castles and our famous dunk tank now, where people get to pay to dunk their favorite program staff. And it's really fun and a way to celebrate all the clients who work here at the center, to see each other all out in the community putting their skills into action.
That's great. Well, what is the one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be happening, and how do we stop it?
That's a great question. I think that the thing that I see happening most often is really just a lack of access, a lack of opportunity. We at the center, we feel that we do really fill a gap in the community where clients and individuals age out of services, where throughout your school years you have access to therapies and to a one-on-one support staff sometimes in schools, and then that all disappears when you turn 21. And there are day programs and other things, but which provide a need for sure. But I think it's just a lack of awareness of what people are really capable of without the time and the intention to get to know a person and how they communicate, and to really see a person's full potential. And their personality requires time and patience and opportunity to get to know someone and to be creative and see their potential. So I'm really grateful that the Movement Center has created this community and a place where people can flourish, and a community where everyone is welcome and belonging and feels belonging. And I wish that could be translated elsewhere, just with more time and awareness given to people with disabilities to participate more meaningfully in many roles of life.
Great. Well, if someone wanted to become a member or a volunteer with Movement Center of Manitoba, what is the process for joining as a member or as a volunteer?
Yes. So to become a member or a client within our program, you can go to our website. There's a couple of different spots on the website where you can submit a pre-assessment form. So you will be guided through a list of questions and to leave your contact information. So tell us about your current condition and your challenges you're facing at home in life and what you hope to gain from the program, and a little bit about your medical history, so that we can take that on file. And we always try to review them within a couple of weeks and get back to people and give you a bit of an estimate of what that wait list might look like for you. And the challenge with our program right now is that because we do offer group programming and bring people together who kind of match and have similar goals, and we have a limited number of conductor group leaders who can operate within our space and our 3 classrooms. Sometimes groups are full, or sometimes clients on our waitlist don't match one of our current groups. But recently, with the addition of occupational therapy to our team and a real push to help more people and expand our service delivery, we've started doing smaller individual programs for usually a 6-week basis, where we can work very closely with a participant and their family to meet some of their goals and allow you to take some learning home with you. And then once we know you better too, we have a better idea of who's on our wait list and how we can expand our programming in the long run to meet more people's needs. And then we'd bring you in for an assessment if we think that we have a potential fit for you, and we would go from there.
Okay. Perfect. What is the one thing that everyone needs to know about the Movement Center of Manitoba?
Hmm. Um, I think to know about the Movement Center in Manitoba is, a little bit about conductive education, and that although it's not well known to many, it is a phenomenal philosophy for teaching movement, for bringing people with disabilities together, for opportunities to learn, and really that the movement center is growing right now. We are expanding our multidisciplinary team, and we believe that we have a lot of potential to help more people here in a meaningful way, and to really expand our services in an evidence-based way where we can put data behind our results that our families are experiencing, and that maybe one day there can be more funding and awareness for this type of program. We've also just begun, or just about to finish, sorry, a on in-house conductive education program leader training program. So we've been working collaboratively with the institute in Birmingham in England, where conductive education originated, the National Institute. And so we have two conductors who have been training in-house here in a blend of online learning and in-house practicum with our current lead conductor. And so we are really growing, and we're going to have a strong team of conductors here, as well as other therapists to help more people to bridge the gap between what services are currently available in the community and continue to help more people.
Perfect. Well, if listeners are looking for more information, how can they reach out to you?
Yes, people can visit our website at movementcenter.ca, and they can connect with us through there. You could email me directly. It's my name, Lacey, Lacey, at movementcenter.ca. You can email us or call us. Yeah, we will always take the time to bring people in for tours, and really take the time to talk to you over the phone and give you a good idea of what programming might look like for you.
Perfect. Well, thank you for lending us your time and attention. This was your host, Pratik Mohanty from V4A Radio. All abilities, all the time. Have a fantastic weekend ahead.